So let's see what's happened. Am I? Oh, there I am. There I am. Okay, hopefully. Right, if anybody is there on YouTube, I think yes. Oh, no. I've just, if you refresh or come out of YouTube again, try again, because I can see Steve has tried reset off and on, still just waiting for the image. Having to watch you in Facebook tonight, Richard, from somebody in a Facebook user. Ian Beddoes on YouTube is saying Nout on YouTube. Aha, got you. Here we go. Yo, hi from YouTube. There we go. Nicola is saying evening all, Richard. Okay. Idaho is saying, okay, now I see you. And Jenny says, got you. God knows what happened there. God knows what happened there. I just went through the whole roll call and nobody could see me. Nobody heard anything I was saying. Yeah, if you were on Facebook or in the Facebook group, you would have seen and saw that I've gone live. So God knows what's going on. God knows what's gone on there. I just had to shut it down quickly and start again. More and more people are saying hello. Right. We'll start this show again, shall we? We'll have to try and edit out this first 15 minutes on YouTube because God knows what's happened. So, hello and welcome everybody. Welcome back to our Sunday night live stream, where technical issues are always a good laugh. As Digwell says, I prefer a picture of the squash flower. Pot it back up. If anybody can help me identify that squash that's coming up on the YouTube video this week, I'll be most grateful. So what we're going to be talking about today, Rebecca, great, you're back. There, yes, there we go. More people are coming in. What we're talking about this week is what are you preparing to grow through the hunger gap? That period sort of during spring, March to May, when there's not much fresh vegetables, fresh food available. What are you growing for that time? This was suggested to everybody suggested to me last week by everyone. So let's go through the roll call again and see if anybody is actually out there. I know there are lots of people out there. So first of all, Ballycillian is saying good evening all. Good evening to you. Adrian is saying hello to everyone as well. Philly SBB has joined us. Turbo Stream has joined us. Muddy Boots has joined us. Hargrave Gas has joined us. So hopefully all these people are still here. Digwell has joined us. Good evening to you. Richard Goldin is saying there has joined us and talking about rain. Jenny is saying Drea's a desert out there. We had rain at the start, but very, very hot and sunny since the water butt. It did feel, but is now empty. Oracle has joined. Is anyone? I did say this at the time, but it went unnoticed. Oracle, is anyone seeing my comments? One has gone missing. So YouTube is obviously having a funny 5 minutes today. Anna Jones is out there. Idaho Garden Girls out there. Chili Kate is there. Grow Veg is there. Gary Filler is out there. Good evening to you. Lots of people basically. I'm not going to go through them again because it's going to take forever and we need to get on. We are so late. It's ridiculous. Beatrice says got the bouncers on the door and didn't want to let us in. Good. God knows what's going on. Jenny is saying hello again. Grow Veg is saying, found you. Good evening to you. Chili Cake watching and chopping. Ernie, I can see you, Richard, on Facebook, still not on YouTube. I think everyone else has found me on YouTube. Valinda, Minor, so excited to see you again. Lovely to see you as well. I haven't seen you for a while. Hope you are well. Basically, yeah, I think people are YouTube. Whatever's happened to YouTube has hopefully sorted itself out, and we've hopefully recovered. Like I say, we've always on Facebook and in our Facebook group as well. So I go live to all three platforms at the same time usually. So if there's ever a problem, please do go check that channels out. Always on the Veg Grower podcast, of course. So hunger gap. What are we growing for that period? This is something that it's quite an interesting subject when we think about it, because I often feel that by growing our own food, I'm trying to grow um, food for all year round, including for the hunger gap. I'm just going to check the YouTube. Somebody else has just said it's not working. Let's see. Yeah, no, I can see it there. I can see myself there, whoever that is. It's not working on YouTube. I can see it there, so I think it is working. Andrew Noyes has joined. Evening, everyone. Idaho. Currently have lots of winter squash plants that are testing fruit. I'm trying several varieties. Want to know which ones to keep through winter. Also growing kale, hopefully carrots and turnips. So I'm guessing that is for the hunger gap. Now, this is it. This is it. I'm trying to grow food all year round to be pretty much self-sufficient all the time. And that includes that hunger gap period. So what can we grow between those times? One of the things I find to be incredibly reliable, one of the earliest things I tend to harvest, and with early varieties is actually available during this time, is rhubarb. Now, sure, we're not going to eat rhubarb every day of a week. I quite like the stuff. It can be very bitter. Needs quite a bit of sugar, but I do like rhubarb. It's very, very useful. And best of all, um, it is a perennial. So you plant it once and then it comes back. Sorry, my brain is frazzled after the complications we had. Digwell says, I had to reopen the link to get it to work on YouTube. And Anna Jones says, hello again. So hopefully people are redoing that. And please do let everyone know. Please do let everyone know if you are coming back, what you're having to do. I can see it working. So as far as I'm aware, it does seem good. God knows why that happened, though. God knows why that happened. So Turbo Stream, my hungry gap comes mostly from the freezer, but experimenting with growing salads under my grow lights, planted spring cabbages this week. So 3 very, very good things that you've mentioned there, actually. Food coming in from the freezer. We're trying to stock up our freezer incredibly well with all the food that we can get. We've got lots and lots of peas, beans, etc., in our freezer that we can use during that period as well. And let's not forget other odd things. I mean, I tend to make a lot of ready meals, so I might make a curry or soup or something and freeze that. I love doing that because it just makes my life so much easier in that hunger gap period. It's nice just to add that to let's just bring up the overlay. Nice to add that, bring that out the freezer and cook that up. Growing salads. Hang on, where's the comments gone there? Growing salads. That's something we do a lot of, and I find the winter salads are best to grow during this time. The winter mixes, they contain kale and lettuce, winter lettuce. So you don't even need grow lights for winter salad. They can grow quite happily, just might need a bit of protection. Again, very good way of getting food during that hunger gap. And spring cabbages, of course, the name suggests straight away, spring cabbages. That's cabbages that we can harvest during that period as well. But what I like to do with my spring cabbages is I actually plant mine quite a bit closer together than normal. And then during that spring period, very early that spring period, I will thin them out, but the thinnings I will actually harvest to use as spring greens. Just a way of trying to get more out of that area and to expand on the amount of food that we have available to us at that time. Jenny says, there is a rhubarb that I'm looking for, but I only have half a name. Something champagne or champagne something. Can anyone help? You say champagne, and I do recall one having champagne in the name, but I cannot remember what it is either. If anybody can remember, champagne. It's on the tip of my tongue. I can picture it. I just can't think of what it's called. Is everybody still out there? It's suddenly gone quiet. I'm hoping everyone's still out there. It's suddenly gone quiet on my end, so it's going to be tricky. Hopefully it's still working. I'm just not having a lot of luck tonight, are we? Yeah, so yeah, spring greens and spring cabbages, a good one. I will also be sowing spring onions now. To bring those on that little bit earlier, we do need to sow them under cover in a greenhouse, a polytunnel, even under fleece. I can get away with that here where I am. Yeah, Gary says still here. Chili says pink champagne. I can't think that's the one. It's not the one I'm thinking of anyway. There is one just called champagne. I can't think what the one I'm thinking of is called, but there is one just called champagne. Now on YouTube from Ian Beddoes. Well, everybody else seems to be watching on you, or many people have got it working on YouTube. I think I'm not sure. Oh, it's a confusing. So Margaret says rhubarb champagne. There we go. Rhubarb champagne. The name is Champagne from Thompson and Morgan. Good thing is about Facebook, we can post the links. Toby Stream, I picked out the rocket seeds from the supporters club this week, plus sowed corn salad, sowed radish and spring onions too. Radish, that's a very good one. Again, needs to be undercover. We can sow that early on in the year. Quite quick to grow radish. I know we discussed radishes quite recently, but we sow that probably mid-March undercover, and it can give us food during this hunger gap period. Excuse me. Valinda says, I need to start sowing again, clearly. You know, it's one of the things that I always say. The sowing season doesn't just stop at the end of May. It carries on right throughout the year. And there's stuff that we can sow all year round if we just know how to do it. If we just do it and follow. A lot of people are giving guidelines. Jenny said, thank you all. It's got bright light pink stems rather than red. I think that is champagne. Richard Golden, mine just started working on YouTube. It just suddenly jumped in, did it? I don't know what's going on. It's weird. Turbo Stream, we'll probably rig up a seed bed for the winter salad. Any plans to send out a winter salad mix to the supporters club? Difficult to get from my supplier is my answer to that, but I'll discuss that on the supporters club. Not just Green Fingers UK blog, aka Lisa. I can hear you. At the end of this month, I start to sow my winter salads. I've Brussels, spring cabbage, spring brock, perennial kale, Welsh onions, Babington leeks, to name a few. So that's reminded me of one of the other things that we are growing here at the Veg Grower Podcast for the hunger gap period is our early sprouting purple broccoli. And in fact, even broccoli can be grown, plant out now, can be grown and give us that harvest during that spring period. So a lot of these suggestions, winter salads, I'm a big lover of winter salads. Brussels sprouts, they've gone in late, they could give you a harvest. Spring cabbage, spring brock, of course, perennial kale. We've got to get hold of some perennial kale at some point, I have to say. Welsh onions, which are fantastic as well. Yeah, so lots of choices there as well. Digwet says his rhubarb on the allotment is called pink champagne. There we go. And Ballycillian is also called pink champagne too. Jenny says, my hunger gap reduced seedlings are growing away great. Hope they all grow well and make the 40p stretch, LOL. We've got a picture coming up about that a little bit later on. Now, another one of my favourite harvests during this period is asparagus. If you're not growing asparagus, if you've got the space, I highly recommend you go and get asparagus planted. It's a perennial, so it'll come back year after year after year. You've got quite a short harvest time, but it does give you those early tasty asparagus spears. Asparagus cost a fortune in the shop. Homegrown, you cannot beat the taste. It's so much better than anything you would buy, plus fresher. What I would recommend with asparagus, you can actually plant it in the autumn, but prepare the beds beforehand. So make sure you clear out any of the weeds, create ridges with horse manure, well-rotted horse manure and compost. Plant your asparagus into that, cover it in deep mulch so it's protected. I find it's easier, or I get more success by planting them in the autumn than I do by spring planting. But you can also do them at spring. Just make sure you keep on top of the watering. But the good thing is, this one plant, if you plant it, I mean, you'll need more than one plant to be fair, but one plant will last for 20 years. So it's well worth growing asparagus, in my opinion. Turbo Stream says, don't forget the windowsill microgreens. We'll start them over again over winter. Yes, microgreens. That's another very good one for that hunger gap period. Again, I highly recommend that on the windowsill, they are fantastic. Just a little tray, bit of tissue in the bottom, old seeds, so your old cabbage seeds are good, cress seeds, etc., etc. Bit of water, harvest them when they were young, just as they just sprouted almost. Good idea as well. Idaho says she wants to pot in some asparagus. Really do recommend it. My asparagus, the mistake I made with my asparagus is I didn't clear the weeds out enough before planting. I was so desperate to get it planted. But what I do have does provide us with asparagus every year. Good mulch of seaweed is my top tip as well for asparagus. They seem to really, really love the seaweed. Plus, in theory, because it's salty, it should help eliminate any of the other weeds too. So yeah, keep them comments coming in. The phone line is open. If you do want to call in, 07307 135 174, or let's find a link if you want to zap in. I'll just add that to the comments. There we go. You want to zap in, the link is going up in the comments. So Chili Kate is saying, what is the smallest number of asparagus crowns that is worth growing? Good question, actually. I think I've got about 8 crowns, and I find that to be just about enough, but I would like more. And I think if I had more, I would probably harvest more. It depends how much you eat asparagus and how much you like asparagus, I guess. 1 crown will give you asparagus. Don't get me wrong. It will give you asparagus. It's just I find that we harvest quite a bit of it when it's available, that we could do with more, if that makes sense. So Andrew does say, I have 10 asparagus plants and they yield plenty of spears to last all summer. Yeah. You've got to be careful not to harvest. I tend to stop harvesting mine after May because they need to pot up those the type of ferns. They need to pot those ferns up to get all that energy so that they could get them the rhizomes, get the roots growing to last through the spring and summer and through into the winter. So they're ready for next year. Oh, we have a caller and I haven't actually got my ears on. So let me just quickly put my ears on and find out who is on the phone. Hello, caller. What's your name and where you calling? Oh, let me says. Oh. Hello, caller. What's your name and where you calling from?
It's the Oracle.
Hello, Oracle. Sorry, I'm just sorting my ears out.
There's too much to tape, so I just thought I would ask the question.
Go for it.
You see the asparagus? Has anyone ever grew it from seed? Or
yes,
do they all go and buy crowns? Could I tell you why? I tried to grow asparagus from years for seed. Never succeeded.
Yeah.
So I just thought I would cheat and go and bought a few crowns. And I've done the ridge method, as you say, mounted them up, the manure, planted them in. First year, didn't touch it. You got the wee ferns up, brilliant. Second year, come back stronger. Third year, they come back like big beasts, like big asparagus, like gorgeous too. Yeah. But I just wondered if anyone ever tried to grow from seed, or would have any pointers to see how you would grow from seed?
So I've tried growing it from seed, and I've got them to germinate. It's when I started pricking them out and moving them on that they caused the problems.
Didn't you get them to germinate?
So I grew mine in heated propagators to start them off quite early on. I think it was about January when I sowed them, if I remember correctly. So I think they do need a bit of heat just to get them started. I know they can be sown quite early on in the season, but getting them to, I don't think they like transplanting much if they're weak.
No. I thought it was cheating, like going and getting the crowns.
No,
But
I don't think it's cheating. I don't think it's cheating.
just couldn't get it to germinate. So I had to just say to myself, if I want to give asparagus a go, I'm just going to have to get the crowns and go down that lane.
Yeah, see, I think when you buy crowns, they've got a year's worth of growth on them, so you can wait, or you can harvest a bit quicker than if you're growing them from seed as well. So I don't see that as cheating.
Or you just like the old seed. But we're getting ready to see, Richard, what the old saying the wee show.
Yeah, we'll
Has
see.
anyone's ever done it from the seed? Because I don't know anyone that's ever done it from seed.
No, I don't either, thinking about it.
And it's just for curiosity to see if we've got one that could give us a few tips.
Yeah.
Maybe try it again just for curiosity.
Yeah. I'm going to have to try that again next year now you've said that.
Be interesting to see if anyone comes up with anything, Richard.
Yeah, we'll put it out there. So if anybody else has grown asparagus from seed, please do let us know what you did and how you got on with it.
Yeah. Just as I say, it's nice to get the feedback.
Yes, definitely. Beatrice has said, I have sowed some asparagus in root trainers. They were outside, no heat needed, but I haven't got them planted and it might be a bit late now. I would give him, I wouldn't say it's a bit late, but be interesting to see.
Well, just interested to see what way it goes. As I say, I didn't get mine to germinate. That's why I went down there. I'll be honest, I went down the lane of buying the crowns. As I say, I think it's cheating a bit, like, because when you walk on your allotment, you like to see everything grow from seed, don't you?
See, I'm quite indifferent on that. I don't mind not growing things from seed, and in fact, if it's a beginner grower, I would recommend not growing anything from seed and go and buy plug plants.
Oh, all right.
But
I like to see us off from seed, then you've got self-satisfaction, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, I do like growing plants from seed, I will admit. Plus, it's cheaper and you get more for your money. But at the same point, sometimes you can't help it. I'm quite guilty of going into a garden centre and seeing a chili plant I've never heard of and buying that.
Cheating, Richard. You shouldn't be cheating because you have the supporters club.
Yes.
You have to follow the rules of the supporters club, send all them seeds out.
Well, we don't have any rules. We just send the seeds out and people do what they like.
I know, it's still nice to see them grow, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
No worries, Richard.
All right.
Nice talking to you again now. Good to see the feedback here.
Yeah, no problem. Son. All the best. You take care. Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye. I don't know why I'm taking my ears out. Might need them back in again if anybody does want to call in. So yeah, growing asparagus from seed. Has anybody ever done that? Now there was a question. So Ballyslidden, the only thing I would add to asparagus is to support the fern, as the wind can flatten it before the goodness gets back into the ground. That's very true, actually. Probably support it from now onwards because it's starting to go a little bit yellow and starting to look a little bit like it's flopping over. So it's going to need a bit of support pretty soon. Jenny says, how tall do the asparagus ferns get? I guess they are best at the back and out of the way. Excuse me. Am I right in thinking strawberries make good companion plants? So asparagus can get about 3 to 4 foot tall, I would say. So out the back, out the way, perhaps not where they're going to get shaded by any trees or anything, but yeah, 3 to 4 foot is about right. As for thinking strawberries make good companion plants, I mean, I have had strawberries pop up in my asparagus bed, but asparagus hates competition. It really does need keeping weed free. Asparagus, its heritage is actually a coastal plant, so that's why it tolerates a bit of salt. But if you think of coastal plants, they generally are very, very sparse, not much competition. So hates weeds, and I would say strawberry plants it would see as a weed, see as a competition. So I would say no, but I bet some people would probably come out with something a bit different on that. Beatrice says, I've read that one. At Ballysillian says his is around 4 foot tall. Grow Veg says Terry King grew his from seed. Just checking that's not somebody saying they can't get in. Andrew Norris says he loves Oracle's accent. It's fantastic, isn't it? Jenny says, so in theory, can I start seeds and grow in pots? Then when we move carefully, transfer the crowns into their permanent bed? Would you plant as bare roots or as a plant? Never grown them before. So it's a good question, actually. So if I was to grow mine from seed, and I'm thinking I'll probably sow some from seed next year. I'll check and see what, I'm sure I've got asparagus seed somewhere. I'll see what the packet says, and we might do it on our live to show how things go. But it's quite a long process with asparagus, very slow growing. I would be inclined, like if you go and buy an asparagus plant from a garden centre that's in a pot, you can plant that straight in the ground, and that's how I would treat it with a seed. Get it growing in a pot, get it into a bigger pot, and then get that pot into a permanent bed late spring around May. But just make sure you keep it really well watered to make sure it establishes. But I think if they are, so if you think a good 30 centimetre pot for each asparagus plant will probably give it the best chance of being able to get planted easily. Idaho says, at my previous home, I had an asparagus bed. 1 year asparagus seedlings came up in another bed and volunteered from seed. Yeah, that's quite possible. Again, I know in the UK it's very unknown for it to happen, for them to self-seed, but I'm sure it can happen. I'm going to try and get my ears on properly. Really not organised very well today, am I? What does Ballycillian say? I would agree, Richard, and they're better on their own, as you have to hand weed around them so you don't disturb the asparagus roots. Yes, the asparagus roots are very, very fragile. I do find, I will admit, a good deep mulch of seaweed does them the world of good, especially going into winter. Every time I take the dog for a walk on the beach, I'm getting a bag of seaweed, and I just dump it on that bed to keep it going. And I found definitely this year we got much better asparagus growing, as well as much less weeds. So yeah, keep on with the seaweed, I say. Asparagus grow along, see what happens, as we are all from different parts of the UK. It's an idea, isn't it? We could definitely try growing asparagus from seed. It'd be interesting to see everyone's results. So we've got to do some more grow along soon, haven't we? Yeah. Right. So what else are we growing for the hunger gap? We've got rhubarb, we've got asparagus, spring cabbage, spring greens, winter salads. Potatoes are going to be, perhaps if you get a very, very early variety and you've got a polytunnel or a greenhouse, you might be able to get a very early crop of potatoes that you might be able to harvest during May. Might just help you out, but it's a big might. I wouldn't rely on it. Digwell says, too much hassle with sparrowgrass seed growing. I bought 12 crowns for £20 from Sutton. Yeah, I mean, too much hassle with sparrowgrass. Yeah, I mean, I would be inclined to, as with all my seeds, I sow them and then transplant them out at a later date, except for carrots and parsnips. But 12 crowns for 20 quid, I mean, that's not a bad price. And pretty much your first harvest, you will harvest more than 20 quid's worth of asparagus from it, providing it's all done correctly, or providing it's all established, etc., etc. Yeah, so potatoes, I don't think you might just get away with some early potatoes in a greenhouse, in a polytunnel, if you do really want potatoes. But I probably wouldn't bother for the hunger gap to try and get potatoes. Onions, however, so I always sow autumn sown onions. And they, as the name suggests, they're sown in the autumn, they grow over winter. And I find by the end of January, we can actually start harvesting. They're small onions, but we can use them. And that just saves us having to buy onions in at that time of year. So again, I see that being as something that we can use in the hunger gap. They're certainly not fully grown, and we're harvesting them early and young, but they do give us onions. So that's another way. Idaho says much easier, and they already have big roots fully. The crowns of asparagus, agree. Jenny says best go visiting the bench then and get some seaweed, and get some seaweed with permission, of course. Like the idea of a slight sow along. Do green and purple asparagus taste the same? Yeah, they pretty much all taste the same. Different varieties may have a sweeter flavour. When it actually comes to getting seaweed from the beach, you don't actually need permission if it's washed up off the beach, because that's basically dead anyway. You've just got to give it a good rinse off in the sea to make sure there's no living stuff in it. Best time to get seaweed is after a big storm, and also as long as you're not harvesting huge amounts, it's generally not a problem. Area I live in, they kind of have to clear the seaweed out because in the summer sun it just stinks the place out. So it makes all the difference. Adrian says, hi Richard, I went on the other link. Yeah, we have problems for some reason. I don't know, I can't see the YouTube channel to see what's happened. We had problems for some reason where we couldn't go. We went live, but you on YouTube wasn't seeing me, so apologies for that. We were going live on Facebook and Facebook page and our Facebook group. We should have gone live. We should have been going live. It says we were live, but I could see nobody was watching despite seeing the comments. So I shut that one down and started again. So hopefully, Adrian, let everyone else know what is going on if possible on the other link. Hopefully it will go. If not, I'll delete it later on. So what else are we growing for this winter, this hunger gap period? Purple sprout and broccoli, I mentioned that. It's one that is in the ground for such a long time. It does need about a year from growing from sowing a seed to when we're harvesting of it growing. And the what we harvest of it is pretty small but delicious, absolutely delicious. I'm going to be getting my purple sprouting broccoli in the garden quite soon. I've got it out there in pots, and it's going to be going in where I had my potatoes growing. I've just been waiting for the weather to get a little bit cooler before I put my plants in. After all, if it's too hot, we lost our kale because we got it in when it was too hot. Ballysillian says, is it true when I bought mine years ago, I was told to buy an all-male variety of asparagus crowns? There is something going in the back of my head that I have heard that it's recommended to grow all-male varieties of asparagus crowns. And I can't remember why, but I believe most varieties now are pretty much all-male. So it's not so much an issue these days, I believe. I could be wrong, but I certainly am led to believe that. Digwell overwintering cauliflower, cabbage, and lettuce. We didn't mention cauliflower. That's another very good one. In fact, we have got some winter varieties of cauliflower also waiting to go in, which will be available again during that hunger gap period. Yeah, so we had cauliflower, cabbage, winter lettuce, of course. That goes in with salad, as I said. So yeah, all that can go on too. Ian Beddoes is saying, I think we're just going to survive on apples. Soon tomatoes are starting to turn colour. Yes, we saw a picture up of your apples, I believe, and your tomatoes and your peas. All doing fantastically well. Talking of which, here we go. This is, I thought Digwell. Males do not produce berries. Another problem with sowing your own seed. So that's why you don't grow male asparagus, because they don't produce berries if you're saving your own seed. So that probably is what it is. So again, I don't think it's too much of a problem. I could be wrong. I could be very, very wrong, of course. I'm not sure I'm seeing everybody's comments, I'll be honest with you. The reason I say that is I've seen Adrian has just said hello to Nicola, yet I cannot see any comments from her at all. So, God knows. YouTube is probably just messing around tonight. I'm just gonna. I know this is a bad one to start off. If please do give us a like, please do give us a thumbs up, please do give us a follow and subscribe. If you are new, this isn't normally this complicated. It's just technical issues have really thrown me, and I'm losing track of where we're going. Ballysilian says, I can only grow overwintering cauliflower. My summer cauliflower always runs to seed before harvest. Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? I can have a bit of success with summer cauliflower, but you've got to be like, when it's ready, you've got to harvest it there and then, not let or wait a couple of days and it's gone. It's gone overnight. So, yeah, that's what I. That's again an overwintering cauliflowers, spring cauliflowers, and all, not so much autumn cauliflowers. Nicola, I've been curled up in bed, not feeling great. Hope you feel better soon, Nicola. Sorry to hear that. Oracle, I hope Stuart Jackson is okay. See, he's not on. He said he did message me to say he can't watch tonight. He's out and about. So he hopefully will be back again next week. I wonder if there are any lost veg varieties that were grown here and then got replaced by new varieties arriving from overseas. There must have been more grown. I'll get the history books. It's a very good question. One I don't have an answer for, but I do suspect you're right. In Idaho, a couple of years ago, I accidentally overwintered cauliflower. I actually thought it was a cabbage seedling. Then in spring, it started growing like crazy. And then I saw the flower head and knew it was a collie. Indeed. Yes, if a collie head is white and the size of a tennis ball, cut it off or it will blow the next year. Been there, done it, got the book, etc., etc. Exactly what I said. Cauliflower is such a difficult one to grow. As soon as it's ready, you've got to harvest it. And even if you haven't planned to eat it, you've got to harvest it. Cauliflower cheese is always a good one to knock up and keep in the freezer. Right, so I'm going to quickly, well, not so much quickly, photos have been sent in this week. We've had a really huge amount of photos sent in this week. Please do go check out our Facebook group because there's so much action going on this week. It's been hard to choose all the photos. So first of all, this is a picture sent to me by my dad of the carrots from his small raised beds. Really impressed with his carrots. That's a good lot of carrots and should keep him well stocked up for a while. Added to that, I know Roxy does like to chew on carrots too. Idaho each week is sending us a view of her garden. This is how it looks last week. Really looking lush and full of growth, doesn't it? Absolutely fantastic. Now, Kate has sent us this picture of her tomatoes. Absolutely beautiful. Plenty of different colours as well. Always good to see. She's also taken this root cutting of, it looks to me to be a rosemary plant. Also looking good. But what I really like is that she's followed my advice of using either a rooting gel or hormone to get the best results and using a real loose compost with plenty of perlite. Nicola, who's unfortunately I'm feeling unwell today, has been to Wilkinson's and saved some money, something that's been popping up a lot in the chat this week. All these seed packets, as you can see, they've got all their prices on them. 5p, 10p, 15p, 25p. Absolute bargain. If you haven't been to Wilkinson's, go to Wilkinson's right now and see what you can buy and save some money. Added to that, Jenny has also been saving some money from Wilkinson's. She went and got this lot, including that currant bush for 10p. But when it all got rang up at the till, bit of a funny story, they ended up owing her money for some weird reason, ended up buying all these plants and that currant bush for 40p. Absolute bargain. And this is what I'm doing a lot of at the moment, especially with fruit bushes. She also adds, and I really like this, her sweet potato plants are growing really, really well. I haven't grown sweet potato for a few years. And something I'm going to do again next year is get our sweet potatoes. I'm probably going to grow them in a pot like they are this year, like they are in this picture, because they look absolutely fantastic. Stuart Jackson said unable to join us tonight. He is saving these for his sweet pea sowing, and also normal peas and broad beans. It's that time of year when we're going to start doing that very, very soon. Stuart Reynolds has shared this picture of this lot that he's harvested. And what a good selection. Some lovely dahlia flowers, looks like blueberries, apples, plenty of beans, plenty to keep us all going. Kate's aubergines are looking absolutely amazing. That beautiful white and purple colour, very near to harvesting, looks beautiful. Shipyard Gardener has been posting a few pictures this week. Lovely to see him in there, but he is contemplating what he should do next in his garden. Loving seeing his photos he's sharing through somebody else at the moment. Absolutely stunning. Now, Chris, a new member, I believe, he shared this picture of his garden project. This is how it looked like when he first started. And this is what it looks like now. Absolutely full of growth. Some beautiful looking beds. Absolutely fantastic. And finally, Ian Beddoes has been sharing some of his humour, which we always do like, and I've been missing lately. This is a kind of a meme from Austin Powers. People are growing their own produce to try and to be self-sufficient. Start the hosepipe bans is the caption. Indeed, it does feel like that sometimes, doesn't it? Like, try and get a little bit ahead, try and grow your own food, and the hosepipe bans come along. However, anybody that listens to the podcast will know I'm a big fan of using water butts to try and keep keep on top of the water in it anyway. Well, Jenny's saying I must turn auto spell off. Git not hot. And she goes on, Git. Oh my gosh, my phone. Git not Git. Indeed, indeed. Adrian says my father years ago gave up with collie as it kept going to seed. Try growing them over winter. It is much better. Cauliflower is what I call a cool loving plant, so it does like to stay a little bit in the cooler months and does do well over winter. Oracle says, thank you, Richard. At least he's contacted you, say, miss one of the gang when they're not on. Indeed, we certainly do miss them when they're not here. Idaho Garngale, I was so happy. A great surprise. Because Idaho said great bargains, Jenny. Yeah, absolutely. This is why I said on the podcast, I've got plants from Wilkinson's for 10p and just a bit of TLC, and they've bounced back and they're producing for us now. So I know Wilkinson's at the moment, everyone's going to Wilkinson's to find the bargains. All they're doing is trying to get rid of their stock so they can move in the Halloween and the Christmas stock. So make the most of it. Garden centres will follow soon as well. In fact, some of them are already doing it. Turbo Stream says, Wilco's is a small store, not much of a garden section, so limited bargains to be had. But whatever garden stuff they have, they want to get rid of. It's seasonal, so they're going to be trying to get in the Christmas stock soon. So, yeah. That's why they're selling it off cheap. Same as the range, same as various other places. And garden centres, like I say, they will start soon too. Jenny says, great photos, everyone. Indeed. Honestly, that's only a few of the photos that have been posted in the group. If you're not a member of our Facebook group, please do go join. Please do share your photos. Please do comment on everyone else's photos. This week's been fantastic seeing just what everyone is doing and how much it is growing. Cauliflower is reputedly the hardest veg to grow well. I totally agree with that. That's why. This is why, actually, as we are talking about the Hunger Gap period, cauliflower actually is probably one of the ideal candidates. Same as parsley and coriander, because those three plants are known to go to seed during the summer. And that's because it just gets too hot. But parsley, coriander, and some varieties of cauliflower can be sown all year round and will do over winter as well. So make the most of it. Use those cooler months to our advantage, and you will get cauliflower. You will get cauliflower much easier. You don't have to rush to harvest it. It's less likely to bolt, and you get cauliflower. Most importantly. Local stores no longer have seeds out for sale. I think they missed the boat. Yeah, this is their trouble. And Jenny says, I got 100 plant labels for 25p per pack from B&M. I haven't been to B&M to see the bargains, but yeah, that's another one. I will be doing them. Wilkinson's, I've got a pack of 100 of those plant labels for 10p a packet. So I bought loads of them. I reuse them, but I still use them to this day. Turbo Stream, I did get a small selection of seeds reduced though. Only bought what I needed. No point in buying seeds, that I won't grow. That's a very, very good point. Sorry, I just got a bit of trap wind there. No point growing anything you're not going to grow. Just wasting your money. But if you are growing certain varieties of tomatoes, for example, and they're selling them off cheap in Wilco's, go get them. Stock up for next year. Compost, grow bags. I'm seeing they're selling those off cheap. I bought 2 grow bags for 50p a bag, and they're going to be ready or going to be in use next year. And stocked up ready. Basically, compost is something I've got to make some savings on as well. I'm going to need a lot of compost, peat-free, of course. So yeah, I'm stocking up, ready for that, and that's why these bargains are so good. Right, veg. Oh no, I was tweaking the format slightly. I was going to get into the main subject. Normally we start off with what I've been up to over this last week, but I'm tweaking it slightly. I thought I'll do what I've been up to over this last week a little bit later on now, just so we can get into the main subject bit earlier on. Excuse me. So what have I been up to over this last week? Big news, of course, has been it rained. After all that dry weather, that praying for rain, it rained, but it hasn't rained enough. What I like to do when we do get rain to see if we've got enough is I just sort of stick a finger down it, push it into the soil, or peel back some of the earth and just see how deep the rain has penetrated. It's barely touched the surface, so we still need to keep up on with watering, but luckily our water butts have been topped up with plenty of water, so we're keeping on top of that and doing very, very well with that. What else have we been doing? So a lot of work going on in the garden at the moment. We're having a good tidy up and getting it ready. We've got an area where we can build another bed, but I've had a chat with the wife. We're going to be building 2 new beds on our home plot in our veg patch over the winter, which will give us 6 beds. And I'm thinking about adding some asparagus beds as well somewhere. So that's going to be a bit of a winter project. Added to that, we've sown some chili seeds, which I'll be talking about on the podcast tomorrow. We've sown some broad bean seeds, overwintering broad beans, that is. And what else have we been doing? Broad beans are down on the allotment. What else have we been doing? It's all gone out of my mind. Oh yeah, we had to sort out in the greenhouse, put up some wire in the greenhouse so I can start hanging some of my hanging baskets in there when we take them in. I'm going to be trying to overwinter our chili plants a bit more this winter. I think I went down the allotment, harvested all my spring sown onions. My spring sown onions were rubbish, absolute rubbish, but the autumn sown ones more than made up for it. So we're doing okay in that regards. So yeah, that's what I've been up to over this last week. Much more on the podcast tomorrow. Please do let us know what you've been up to yourself. Jenny has said, I have a tiny head on a cauliflower. I planted that weeks and weeks ago. Plant it looking a bit crappy. Any advice? Did you lime the soil beforehand? Is the first question. Cauliflower is notoriously tricky, I should say. So yeah, lime the soil, mulch to try and keep the moisture in. Chicken manure pellets also work as well. Ballysilian says, no Wilco in Northern Ireland. Wish I was, there's so many bargains. Do you not have a Wilkinson's there? I didn't know that. Learn something new every day. Idaho, yeah, rain. We got 1/4 of an inch, or 0.04 of an inch, sorry, yesterday. 4 100ths of an inch. That is, I don't know, a couple of mil. Turbo stream, we had rain, but not enough. Need a good week of solid rain. Really, ground is still rock solid. Yeah. We, the rain that we had was very welcome, but we need more of it. I don't want it to rain during the day. I'm happy if it rains overnight. Save me a job of watering. Tip down in the northeast yesterday, the soil is bone dry already. This is a trouble when you get a tip down like that on bone dry soil. It just doesn't go into the soil. It just doesn't do anything. This is why I'm a big believer in no dig and adding compost or manure on top, and that tends to absorb the water a little better as well as mulch the soil. Turbo Stream says, I want to grow some green manure, but no point until the ground is damp. No, I've sown green manure, sown some Phacelia today. I forgot to mention that. I've sown that where the onions were, and we're sowing field beans as well. But they are needing watering almost daily to try and keep on top of them. Not so much for sowing for the hunger grab, but I leave some carrots, parsnips, and potatoes in the ground containers to eat in spring. Good idea, actually. We always tend to worry about the soil being frozen, but carrots, parsnips, potatoes, I mean, I've left them in the soil up until March time as well, and they're perfectly fine. Jenny says, no lime noted for next time I use chicken manure pellets. I'll get some lime. Is that for clubroot? No, what lime is actually for is it adjusts the pH of your soil. And something like any of the brassicas, they do like a bit of lime. They do like a more, is it alkaline or acidic? Alkaline, I think. More alkaline soil. So they benefit from adding lime to the ground before planting. I always add lime. Always add lime to my brassica beds. I dance all over the soil to tread it down before I plant cauliflowers, as they need a very, very firm soil. I call it the cauliflower stomp. That's also true, a bit like Brussels sprouts. And again, most brassicas, they like a very firm soil. So well worth patting it down, treading it in, getting your size 12s in to push the soil down. Especially after planting as well. So yeah, good point there. Oracle says it rain well in Ards all week, which was well needed. It rained all week in Ards, so it was well needed. It certainly does need a lot more rain here. Is it going to happen? I think it is. I'm just glad it's cooled down a little and we're getting a bit of shade or a little bit of cloud cover. It's warm enough that the plants are growing, but we're just getting a nice bit of shade. In fact, I've noticed some of my Szechuan pepper plant particularly, sort of was about that tall, and now it's suddenly shot up in the last week to that, and more than doubled the size. So weather is such a big factor. What else can we grow for the hunger gap? I'm getting my head thinking. I should know all this stuff anyway off the top of my head. Jenny says, lime and firm soil is in my notebook. Thank you. No problem. Yeah, I'm trying to think what else we grow for the hunger gap. I do generally find, because we keep so much in the freezer, we don't do too bad, but I do like some early crops, early radishes, early spring onions. Again, easy to grow and easy to make the most of. But I can't think of any other. Spinach, of course, spinach. Baby leaf spinach, grow that over winter, charding as well, perpetual spinach. That's another very, very good one to grow. I mean, I've got a chard plant that's been growing for about 3 years. It does tend to bolt, but if you cut it down when it bolts and look after it, it does tend to grow quite nicely, I find. Temps have gone down, only in the 90s predicted this next week. That's like in the 20s, high 20s for us here in the UK. Pretty much same for us, I think. Yeah, lovely weather. It is lovely weather, but we do need a bit of warmth. Don't want it to go cold too quickly and it to be the end of the summer at all. I feel this year has been very, very challenging just because it's been so dry. I've lost quite a few plants through that. Doesn't matter. We'll be fine. We'll make up for it next year. But I would like to see, excuse me. I would like to see, I didn't sleep very well last night. I would like to see a better year next year. Leeks are a very good hunger gap veg. Yeah, I forgot about leeks because we always tend to harvest them before the hunger gap and keep them in our freezer. But yeah, leeks, another very good one. You could probably still plant leeks out at the moment, actually, if you are quick, and you might get away with it. I had leeks that overwintered. I was happy to see them. Yeah, I mean, I do like leeks. Absolutely delicious. Digwell says kale with what looks like a green sick face. I like kale. I do like kale. It depends how it's cooked, I think, is the main thing. A bit like Brussels sprouts. But again, kale, another very good food to grow for the hunger gap. Jenny says, I've only ever sown broad beans in springs. Any recommend over wintering them? Listen to the podcast tomorrow and you will hear all about it. I always grow my broad beans in the overwinter. I don't bother with spring ones. I sow them, well, September, October, November with the right variety, straight in the ground. Don't need any cover or anything. Where I am, being quite mild, they get off to an early start. They do tend to go a bit black and die back over winter, but then they grow back in the spring. And they just earlier, so you don't get any problems with black fly, or less likely, and you harvest the beans and they're out the way, and you still got a chance to plant in something afterwards. So yeah, broad beans are another very, very good one. Turbo Stream, I picked out spinach this week too. Is it too late to sow chicory from Supporters Club? I might set up fleece tunnel this winter to grow a few things. Two things I'm taking from that. It's not too late to sow chicory. No, go for it. That's a good one. But the fleece tunnel, no, these are hoop tunnels, otherwise known now. They're just like maybe a foot or two. Also good for getting some early crops going. So maybe useful for something for the hunger gap. Parsnips are another one. Leave those in the ground and harvest those when you need them. I find parsnips do better or taste better after they've had a frost anyway. But yeah, definite good one to leave in the ground for the hunger gap. Turbo Stream, I was picking leeks in April from last winter. Picking leeks. Wow, that is, yeah, again, I've got to grow more leeks. I'm realizing every year I've got to grow more and more leeks. So my King Richards, as I called them, which we lost a lot, didn't we? Because somebody dumped a load of weeds on top of them. We lost some of them. But yeah, it just goes to show. In Turbo Stream, I tried. Sorry, I'm just dealing with something there. I tried broad beans over winter. It's too cold in the Midlands, and they all died. Well, if you what I recommend you do if you're going to grow them over winter, give them a bit of protection, and a fleece around them will work. Cover over with a hoop net or something will work as well. Broad beans are usually quite tough though. Perhaps you got them in a little bit too late. We will be sending broad beans out at some point. I can't remember if it's next month or the month after, but yeah, they will be going out in that. I'm seeing it, don't worry. Idaho Gun Girl, I like kale stir-fried with garlic, onion, and bits of streaky bacon. Yes, I do like the sound of that as well. Kale garlic, onions, and bacon. I personally, I mean, I love turning kale into Chinese seaweed, and all that is I chop the kale up nice and small, spray it with a bit of sesame oil, roast it in the oven, bit of sugar, salt, and pepper. Mix it all together. Absolutely delicious. Absolutely delicious. Yeah, don't worry, don't worry. Here we go. Here we go. There we go. There we go. Valinda says, "Can you ship to the US?" Can we ship what? Sorry, Valinda. If you talk about my supporters club, then no, I can't. But our merchandise, our t-shirts and stuff, we can. Lost track. Has sprouting broccoli been mentioned? Yes, I've mentioned purple sprouting broccoli, as well as rab broccoli. That, you know, the one that grows in 60 days. I'm not a fan of it myself. I find it a bit fiddly, a little bit pretentious. But that's one I think, yeah, we could add to this list as well. Quick growing, tolerates the cold weather, should do quite well. Jenny says, "Oh no, Tabastream, I'm not too far from you. I have long cloches, so hopefully that will help." So long cloches would definitely help, but also, I mean, broad beans do get quite tall. Simple 2-litre drinks bottles, cut the bottom off, pop that top over as well. That gives you quite a bit of space to protect them. I did that one year, real successful. But I've seen other people, they just put like a fence up around the broad beans, of Enviromesh, a fleece, creates its own little microclimate and keeps things a little bit warmer too. What else have we got? Turbo Stream. I say broad beans direct in mid-March. They seemed okay for black fly this year. You got away with it then. I don't think there was much black fly this year, actually. It's been a weird, very difficult year for that. Yep, Adrian is doing a brilliant job keeping these trolls off. It does make me laugh, doesn't it? Doesn't it? So yes, purple sprouting broccoli is another good one, and so on and so on. Rare broccoli is another good one. Leeks, you know, there is no reason why any of us needs to go hungry during this hunger gap. When we list through all these foods that we've been talking about, it tells me there is so much food available during that time. So I haven't written any of these down, so hopefully everybody will remember. We've got rhubarb, we've got asparagus, we've got purple sprouting broccoli, we've got leeks, we've got parsnips, we've got what else have we got? Purple sprouting broccoli, we've got asparagus, rhubarb, so many leeks, so much food that we can have during that hunger gap. Salads, spinach, chard, lettuce, so much food that there is no reason for us to go hungry. Broad beans, I mean, broad beans, if you overwinter them, they can be harvested in May to give you an extra early supply of broad beans. Peas, forgot about peas, didn't we? Overwintering peas. Now, a good variety, Meteor, nice wrinkly variety. That's another good one to try and use. What was my saying? Meteor peas, yes, meteor peas, the wrinkly peas. They can be sown between now and as late as December, actually, and they can give you a very early supply of peas. sorry, everyone. We've had so many technical issues going on tonight. What's Turbo Stream saying? I'm trying field beans this year for the tips as a winter green. Yes, I heard Steve from Steve's Seaside Life actually mention that. He's trying, he's growing field beans, and I've sown field beans as well, and using those tips as a bit of a winter green. I've not tried that before myself, so I'm looking forward to seeing that work out. So yeah, don't worry, I'm seeing what everyone. Don't worry, I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it here. I've never tried eating field beans, so I'll be very interested to see just how well these taste. But again, I am trying it as a green manure to try and add some of those nutrients into my soil to try and boost my soil, add organic matter to the soil, and so on and so on. What else are we going to do? What else are we doing? I'm growing my Phacelia as a green manure as well, and that's not really edible. But what it is very good for is attracting wildlife. It creates this beautiful large plant with blue flowers that attract bees early on in the season, and it's a green manure. I'm a big fan of green manures, in case you haven't guessed. So that's that. Daniel Neal, have you heard of that vegan teacher? Have you heard of which vegan teacher is that? There's probably quite a few out there, so please do let us know which one. Digwell says they taste the same as board bean green to me anyway. Well, I'll find out. I'm going to try them. Again, I was just sowing field beans in where I had my beans growing this year and what is going to be the potatoes next year. And I'm just doing that because I want to get some nitrogen in the soil for the potatoes. The potatoes hopefully will benefit from it, but also organic matter. Really working hard at getting that organic matter in the soil this year without having to cart a load of compost around, because compost is, well, I cannot make enough compost. I cannot make enough compost no matter what I try. So I'm trying to grow stuff purposely for making compost effectively, or adding organic matter to the soil. I'm a big fan of green manures, as I said. I think they are just another great weapon to add to our repertoire of beating weeds. Toby Stream says the field beans and broad bean tips can be used in stir fry. Fantastic. I've not done. I'm looking forward to trying these field beans now. Yeah, it made me glad to sow them. I also going to be sowing another green manure, slightly different. I'm going to have to talk about green manures at some point as we go on later on this season. Clover, that's going out in the supporters club next month. Clover is a green manure as well because it's quite good at weed suppressing, and I'm looking at planting that underneath some of my fruit bushes as a way of suppressing the weeds under there. I don't think clover has any edible parts, but you never know. Oh, elderflower. That's one I didn't think of. Usually available during that hunger gap. And I love elderflower. Love to make elderflower cordial from it. Also, elderflower dipped in batter. Absolutely delicious. Absolutely delicious. Nice and tasty. But elderflower cordial, you drink that any time of year and you just get hit with that beautiful smell of summer. Absolutely love the stuff. I've got an elderflower tree at home and on the allotment, and I'm getting rid of my elderflower tree on the allotment because it's ugly and hard work. But you can easily go out and try and get elderflower from the parks and things. I'm losing my words today. Rebecca, wow, clover, that will be an interesting one. Nice to have a challenge indeed. Indeed it is, and highly worth it. TurboStream, what about those sprouts you grow in jam jars? The name escapes me at the moment. Sprouting beans and munga beans, and they're a good one actually. Yeah, didn't think of those for the hunger gap. So sprouting beans, well worth it. And Idaho microgreens as well. We did mention that earlier. So really, I think it's safe to say there's no reason for us at all to go hungry. We've got plenty of food that we can grow during this hunger gap, and most of this can be grown all year round too. The only thing we probably won't be able to get is things like potatoes, some of the more staples, but there is plenty of food for us. Now we have about 10 minutes to go before the end of tonight's show. So if anybody does want to zap in, the link is going up in the comments. Or you can call in on 07307 135 174. Also, just quickly, next Sunday, as most of us in the UK, I think it's most of us in the UK, certainly England, will be aware, we've got a bank holiday weekend next weekend. We've got an extra day off work, unless you are in the jobs that require you to work, of course. So what I'm asking you guys for next week is I want to know what you're going to be doing with your extra day. I know that's a very, if you are working or in other countries, it may not apply, but I like to think that it's something, if you do get an extra day, what you would do with it is what I want to know. That's the plan for next week. Would peas for pea shoots sown and grown indoors work, do you think? Yes, they would. Yes, they would. They're absolutely delicious. You can actually get peas for pea shoots. They're very expensive, but the best thing, the cheapest way to do it is to go and buy some dried peas from a supermarket and sprout those. Does everybody know how to grow sprouting beans? If you don't, I'll tell you how I go about doing it. So I get a jam jar, and into that I will pour some of the beans or peas that I want to be growing sprouts from. Over the top, I'll put a piece of muslin held on with an elastic band, and then I will fill that jar up with water, shake it, pour it out, but keeping that with the muslin or the bit of netting, if you like, keeps the peas in the jam jar, keeps it damp. And then twice a day I do that same thing, pour some water in, give it a shake, and then pour that water out, keeping the peas in the shoots. Within about a week you find they start shooting. And if you ever had Chinese that includes bean shoots, that's basically what it is. Digwell says every day is a bank holiday for me, you lucky person. And Oracle says same here too. And Idaho is laughing as well, possibly because I don't know if they have the same bank holidays in Idaho as what we have here. But I've got an extra day off work next week, and that's what I'm really looking forward to, especially after this last week with work being so crazy and busy. Digwell says our allotments for shut for 3 days this week, coming due to roadworks, no access till 7 p.m. It's starting to get dark about 8 as well, isn't it? That would annoy me in some ways. I know work has to go on, but at least when they did it to our allotment, it was in the winter when we weren't really going down it. It was only Monday to Friday. But at the same point, if I was retired or it was the only time I had off work, it would annoy me because I want to get down there and do some stuff. And the big airplane flying overhead. But then you got to wonder: are they going to give you that bit of leeway when it comes to plot inspections? Question I have for that. As you know, our allotment has had some major works going on where we've had a new road being built down the side, which is completed now. It's a road that goes to a housing estate at the moment, and it's going to go on a bit further. When it does fully open, I think it's going to be quite busy, and I'm not looking forward to seeing how that pans out. Nicholas says, update on the chicks, 2 new ones this morning. Again, if you are in our Facebook group, Nicola put this lovely video up of the chickens being hatched. So please do go and check that out if you are in our Facebook group. It's absolutely lovely. Jenny says, I use dried supermarket peas. I don't soak, I'm too lazy. I just soak and water well. Normally my summer salad treat. Harvest when 4 leaves high, normally 3 or 4 pickings. I will grow indoors this winter. Yeah, the windowsill garden is where it's all going to happen over the winter, I think. We have Labor Day holiday, Monday the 5th of September, federal holiday. I always wondered what Labor Day was. Now I know. Basically a bank holiday. Fantastic. Turbo Stream, stay off the roads, go to your allotment instead. Indeed. Digwell says, and the garden centre has to close as well with no compensation as it is planned works, all because of a tour of Britain. Yeah, that would annoy me. It really would, especially if a garden centre has lost business because of it. I think that because it's not just the garden centre losing business, it's people losing their pay, especially in this cost of living crisis. I think that's very, very wrong. Anna Jones, did anyone mention indoor mushroom kits like Mr. Vobes grew for the Hunger Gap? No, I didn't mention that. It didn't even enter my thought. I do have a mushroom allergy, so I don't touch mushrooms at all. But yeah, indoor mushroom kits, they were very successful. Mr. Vobes did grow some earlier this year, and they were really successful. Excuse me. And not much work either, I don't think. But there you go. If I need to get some people who actually grow mushrooms on the podcast again to find more about it, as it's something I cannot do. I thought Labor Day was all because of pregnancy, and yeah, everyone laughing at that. Indeed, good one. Our allotment was closed because of a Commonwealth Games marathon a few weeks ago. I remember you saying that as well, and I got annoyed about that. I think it's wrong. I do think it's wrong. But then on the other hand, all the trade that these games bring in and roadworks and essential works can sometimes be necessary. Nicholas says, I'm going to say night-all and see you through the week on Facebook. I'm here next Sunday. I don't think we'll be much longer anyway. Got about 3 minutes to go. I know we had problems at the beginning. Well, I'm absolutely knackered. I haven't caught up on my sleep for the week anyway. Idaho says good night, Nicola. And Anna Jones says bye to Nicola too. So I think we've covered everything with the Hunger Gap. I cannot think of anything else we might grow. But you know what? Keep joining in our live show. Keep joining in on the podcast and the videos I've started doing again. I'm hoping to try and keep them going. To find out what I'm doing to try and keep our food coming in, as well as certain other YouTube channels as well. Next week's subject, Turbo Stream is asking, is going to be, as I said, what are you doing with this extra day off? I'd like to know what you're going to be doing if you have a day off, that is. I'm going to be certainly making the most of it. I've got lots of plans. Rebecca says, have a great week, everyone. See you all next week. Lovely to see you, Rebecca. Not just Green Fingers UK blog. Thanks for another interesting evening, all. Great subject. I've got some ideas and inspiration indeed. TTFN, all about what to do with gluts next week, isn't it? We're going to move that to the week after, because I just thought this extra day seemed to be a bit better. Great chat tonight, everyone. Lots learned. Thanks, everyone, from Beatrice. Have a great week. Bye, everyone. Great chat from Anna Jones. Once again, I want to apologize for the trouble we had at the beginning, either me getting late and YouTube causing issues as well. I don't know what happened, but we'll do it. Digwell says, okie dokie, don't worry, we will do gluts the week after. I'm just thinking because it's bank holiday, I need to jump on that a bit better. Right, I'm going to wrap this up. Now, I haven't set myself up for closure, so let's do that, and let's get rid of that. It's been great. Again, apologies for everything going a bit cockeyed. Thanks so much to Adrian for the dealing with the trolls. See you all next Sunday at 6. Until then, take care. Same veg time, same veg place is what I meant to say. Take care, guys.